Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Honda Civic 2.2 ES diesel. This particular car is registered OE10EDU, and mileage at the start of the road test is 120,656 miles. The reason we do these videos, very simply, is that we just want people to be able to see the car, or see the car driving, that's the same one that's in the adverts, basically. Reason for that is we know just how frustrating it can be to travel sort of a long distance only to get there to find out the car's got a fundamental issue, which you clearly should have been told about before setting off. So this gives us an opportunity to do that. This particular car's come in as a part exchange to us. Chap bought a CRV from us, slight change in circumstance, needing four-wheel drive, I think, to pull a boat off a slipway, so obviously four-wheel drive helps in that respect, but obviously a Honda person through and through, and it tells because they've looked after this car very well. Car starts absolutely instantly and settles to a completely smooth, even idle. There are no warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car, aside from just a low fuel light currently, which obviously a little bit of fuel will soon get rid of that. So going through the car one by one. Engine, as I said, starts completely instantly. It's a lovely, lovely engine. They are just superb units. Really, really smooth in operation. Lovely to use day in, day out. It's just so un-diesel-like in the way it goes about its business. You put the revs on and it's just the engine note's completely different to what you'd expect. It's not that harsh, horrible sound you get with some diesel engines. And of course they're cam chain driven, no cam belts, and nor do they use DPF filters, which obviously cause lots of issues for certain manufacturers, which I won't name. That fabulous engine, it just feels exactly as it did when it was new. It's just got the same pitch to its engine node, same smoothness, same urgency, because they are quick cars. Because this is the smallest engine they put this particular car in. It was really designed for the Accord and the CRV, which were much bigger, heavier cars, so this benefited from that in that sense. Engine then feeds through clutch into gearbox. Clutch in the car absolutely spot on, bite points exactly where it's meant to be, and it's nice and smooth in its operation. Gearbox, 6-speed gearbox, and one of the best gearboxes Honda ever did in terms of certainly the way the gearbox feels in hand. It's just a lovely gear change. It's so slick and smooth, short and throw, really positive in action. It's just a gearbox you enjoy using. It's not one you kind of think, oh, will I get a gear this time? It's kind of your friend. It's what Honda do brilliantly well. They know this is the main control you're going to use, as well as the pedals and the steering, so they make them feel absolutely superb. And I can feel absolutely nowhere in the linkage at all. Feels exactly as it would have done, let's say, when it was new. Steering on the car, which has been one of the main strengths of this generation of Civic, it tracks dead straight. There's no vibrations at all coming through the steering wheel at this speed or any speed up to the legal limit. But it's just such a lovely power steering system, beautifully weighted, incredibly precise and accurate, very quick to change direction as well. Hardly have to turn the steering wheel, just tiny little motions and the car's going straight away. To corners like this where you wind the lock on in some cars, you literally turn the car in, hardly a movement at all, and it's just wonderful. It really is. The chassis matches the steering perfectly, because it'd be awful to have sharp steering. I've been in some cars, I remember certain Alphas years ago, they'd have incredibly quick steering but quite kind of floppy suspension, and that wasn't a good combination. This is the absolute opposite, because as soon as you go, the chassis is immediate in its responses. It's just brilliant, it really is. So if you're in the mood for a bit of enthusiastic driving, the car really, really responds. When I'm driving these cars, I'm obviously listening out for any sort of major sort of clunks or thunks coming from underneath the car, and there's nothing at all. It's exactly as it's meant to be. When you hit a bump, you obviously hear it hitting the bump, but as I said, there's no sort of nasty surprises in that sense. Brakes on the car, just give them a bit of a shove, leave it a bit late for this junction, but it's a good brake pedal on the car. What I'm looking for really is just kind of any kind of vibrations or pulsing to the brake pedal, and there's nothing at all. It's all exactly as it's meant to be. Looking around inside the car, I mean, the first thing you notice, this car's done 120,000 miles, it's 10 years old, and there's no rattles at all. They are brilliantly made cars. They don't confuse hard plastics, of which there is plenty in the car, because that's how they were manufactured, with build quality, because it's how they're put together, and that's where these things are fantastic. They really are exceptionally good cars. And nice to have the panoramic roof, which is all fully functional on the car. Obviously you've got a blind that opens and shuts, just adds lots of natural light in, but you've got this wonderful dashboard design. It's absolutely superb. Air conditioning is ice cold in the car. It's dual zone, so you have different temperatures side to side. It brings me to the only issue on the car, and it's not a major issue at all. It's actually incredibly simple to sort out. Up here you've got a little display panel for your radio and your climate control. I push it there. There you are. Get your full display. When I let go, it goes away. Basically, if you prise that panel off up there, be careful in doing so, because it now works perfectly, of course. It's got a little multi-pin connector behind it, which sometimes they can, if you sort of wiggle them, they can go back and be good again. If not, you can actually buy that section there from kind of scrap yards or otherwise, I don't know, 20, 30 quid or so, if you really wanted to do it. It's not something we're going to attend to, given the age and mileage of the car, the price it's been sold at, but as I said, it's now working absolutely perfectly with a little shove. I'm sure if you just wedge something in, it'll stay permanently on, but anyway, that's, say, the point of the video is to pick up on these things. The actual dash design is simply brilliant. I think this is going to be one of these cars that people look back in years to come and, you know, sort of mesmerised by the interior, because it still looks interesting and fresh and modern even now. And these cars came out back in sort of late 2005, so that's a 15-year-old design. But it is actually completely functional as well. It's not just brilliant to look at. So the upper deck gives you the information you look at regularly, and what I love, that digital dash up there is just sensational, because at the corner of your eye you're seeing it the whole time, so you don't take your eyes off the road for a second to take in your speed. So it's, for a safety point of view, it's brilliant, but it also aesthetically looks fantastic. Below that you've got this beautiful kind of hologram effect dash with this glow from behind it, which at night, I know it sounds really nerdy, but it just looks absolutely sensational. It's something I'll never tire of. I think Honda did a brilliant job on this interior. This is the later facelift model, so there's little changes they did to it, because the early models had like this clear black, so this black plastic here, shiny black, which looked really nice, but marked actually quite easily with fingernails and grubby fingertips, and could look quite tired very quickly. So they got this textured finish, looks like carbon fibre, obviously isn't, but that's a telltale that it's the later version. Also the trim, the plastic trims around here and on the doors have gone to like a sort of a gunmetal tungsten-y look, and again the reason for that is the silver trim of the early ones actually marked quite easily, so they really toughened up the paintwork on them. And it's a classic example, because there's no wear in it at all. It looks absolutely superb. As I said, just temperature gauge before I forget, finally, running at a third, which is exactly where it's meant to be on a Honda car, by the way. As I said at the start of the video, the whole point is to pick up on any issues at all, and the only thing that merits a mention is just that little display up there, which, as I said, can be easily attended to. Aside from that, the car drives absolutely beautifully.